big day in Patriots history, huge day in the franchise, what it means, just all of it in the development of the franchise. It's Bill Belichick's 72nd birthday today, former head coach of the New England Patriots. It's still strange to say
Former.
former head coach of the New England Patriots, but it's his 72nd birthday today. It's also the 24th anniversary, this day, 2000, Bill Belichick drafts Tom Brady. And
Mm.
I want to read you the quote that he had right after the Patriots drafted whoever it was that pulled the trigger. I imagine it was Bill, but whoever it was that pulled the trigger on the move had about the six round pick, 199 overall. He said, quote, the value board at that point really just clearly put him as the top value. Brady is a guy who's obviously played at a high level of competition in front of a lot of people. He's been in a lot of pressure situations. We felt that this year his decision making was improved from his junior year after he took over for Brian Greasy and cut his interceptions down. He's a good, tough, competitive, smart quarterback that is a good value. And how he does and what he'll be able to do, we'll just put him out there with everybody else and let him compete and see what happens.
Wow, Bill gave a little bit more back in the day than he than he does, in the
109 words.
previous years. That's a
109
lot.
words
I was
on
waiting for
on
you to stop, but
yeah.
the kept going. He's changed his ways, 25 years ago or whatever it was.
The two things that stand out to me. First of all, he used the word value three times.
Yeah.
Bill is nothing if not consistent. It would be a favorite Belichickism over the course of his coaching career in New England to reference value time and again. And so that makes a lot of sense
Perfect
that he
sense.
exactly they used it when talking about Tom. The
I
second
mean, that's
thing
all
is,
he does,
yeah,
value, right? How do you bring value to the team?
exactly. Exactly. Second thing was we'll just put him out there with everybody else and let him compete and see what happens. Oh, what happened?
Give him the
Six
best
Super Bowl,
quarterback
seven
of
Super, yeah,
all time.
greatest football player of all time. My first question to you, specific to this, do you think we're going to hear something similar when Gerard Mayo or Elliott Wolf or whoever it's going to be steps to the podium when this year's draft is done, when they're talking about Michael Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy, Jane Daniels, Drake May, whoever?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think what's important for these guys to understand is listen, you're not drafting this kid to be a backup, right? You're drafting them to hopefully be the face of your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years, hopefully, right? I think what Bill did, right? Obviously, he had Bledsoe, right? I mean, Tom was coming in to be a backup. So what he says was perfect. He adds value. He's going to come in and compete. We'll see what happens, right? He had no idea what was to come of Tom. But these guys know what their expectations are of drafting these guys first with their first pick on draft night. And why try to set this kid up for put more on this kid's shoulders than already needs to be. I think we believe in this kid. We liked him a lot throughout the draft process. I think that he can be a phenomenal athlete. I think that he can be a phenomenal NFL quarterback. We're going to do all that we can to surround him with good talent and people that want to help him be successful and help our team be successful. And I think that's kind of where it is. I think he's a team guy. I think he always has been. I think playing on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, or playing the NFL, man. It takes all 11, right? It's not just one guy. And I know we hang our hat on the offensive side. I know we hang our hat on one guy most of the time because they touch the rock every single play. But like at the end of the day, it takes 11 guys. And I think Gerard knows that. I think all these guys know it that are drafting these kids. And yeah, do we have high expectations and do we want to see them? Do I want to see them be successful and for the Patriots to be successful? Hell yeah, I do. Like I want this kid to come in and crush it. But again, like there's got to be room for growth here, right? There's got to be room for, hey, if he makes an error or he throws an interception and he struggles a little bit, like growing pains, man. This kid's 21 years old, 22 years old. Like he's coming in and competing in the NFL with guys that are like they are the best in the world at what they do. There is going to be some bad plays here and there. So let's make our expectations realistic here and not expect him to come in and be Tom Brady, that who had to develop into Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady was not that guy when he first came into the league. Like he definitely showed the signs of greatness, but he himself had to learn how to be a pro and play in the NFL and prepare and do all these things. Like there's still a big hill to climb for these kids. And I think that's got to be voiced in some way, shape, or form on draft night so that they know that, listen, no matter what happens, we're here to support you. We want you to be successful. We're going to help you be successful. But I'm also not asking you to change the face of this organization day one that you walk inside this building.
One of the Brady things too that, and I'm glad you mentioned that Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady when he walked into the building. He had a full year. He had the
Yeah.
entire 2000 season to be able to sit. And I bring that up in the context of the idea that, Elliott Wolf came from Green Bay, a program that really believes strongly in the idea of having the rookie quarterback sit for a year or however long it takes. And I'm starting to wonder if we don't see the guy start right out of the gate, no matter how good he is. And look, the summer is the summer in the preseason camp, and we're not even in mid-April. We're
Yeah.
just in mid-April yet. We're not even at the draft, and so it's probably premature to say this, but I wonder about the idea of having a guy sit for an extended period of time before you throw him out there, especially for an offense that is going to be undergoing some growing pains this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it makes sense if you have a guy that you really believe in. Look, I mean, look at what happened with Jordan Love this year. I mean, he got to sit underneath Aaron Rodgers. No one really thought Jordan Love was going to be the quarterback that he turned out to be this year, right? I mean, he played very, very good football last year and kind of turned all those doubters into like, oh God, this kid actually he can play, right? I don't know if we're in that position. I'm not sure if we're just going to give the reins to Jacoby and just say, hey, like, this is your team. Like, Jaden, Drake, whoever it is that we've drafted, like, you're going to learn, you're going to grow. Maybe it's not in the first half of the season, or maybe it's later down the line, but you are going to play, but we're going to let you develop, learn, make the mistakes in practice, make the mistakes in preseason. I just don't know if we're there. I kind of feel like, and I hate to say it, right? I hate to say that we're just throwing this kid into the fire, but I do hope that, we have other draft picks. There's still free agency is alive. Like there's still a lot of time here to surround this kid with some more talent, some better weapons, some, offensive line. Defensively, we can still add people. So we're still in the early stages here of kind of making this team the way that Gerard wants to make this team. Yeah, we weren't very active in free agency, like off the bat, but that doesn't mean that we could all of a sudden turn this corner here after draft and be like, okay, this is who we need. This is what we're going to do. Let's just spend the money. This is what we have. Let's bring in the best guys that we can. Right. And maybe they're waiting. Maybe those free agents, hey, listen, we just drafted Jaden Daniels, right? We got the guy. Like this is the time you're going to be a part of it, and we want you to be a part of it. And like defensively, I think it's an easy sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is an easy sell. This is very easy. We have a very good defense. You're going to come in and be a part of a very good defense. We got guys coming back. Stephon Gilmore, if you can hear me, you're going to come back, right? And you're going to be a part. You love Gerard. You love the defense. You love Foxborough. Everyone treated you nicely there. Let's go. Stop messing around. But for offensively, I think it's a bit, you got to sell it, right? I mean, and I think the quarterback is the big sell. Like we got the guy now. Like this is what it's going to be. This is going to be our identity. Like let's go. Like so. I think we're still we have some time here for that to kind of develop. But I think that we're not in the Elliott and Gerard. I think we're not in the position for this kid to sit here and learn. I think he's going to have to learn he's going to have to make mistakes early and then hopefully not make them when we go into the, real live bullets. Right.
it's interesting.
See.
Someone asked me what I want to see. What kind of traits do I want to see in the new Patriots quarterback? Someone asked me that this week for the Boston Globe mailbag, and I said that I'm assuming that they all have the physical traits necessary to succeed in the National Football League. That's going to be a given. Strong arm, size, whatever. What I want to look for is the mental aspect of the whole thing, because again, they're going to get beaten down pretty early. I think, regardless. We have to go into this with a realistic expectation, and for me, it's about a confidence, and it's about a decisiveness, and it's about breaking the huddle with a plan, going through your reads, making your decision. And you know what? If you're wrong, you're all going to be wrong together. That was one of the things Bill always talked about. But just be decisive.
Yeah.
And we didn't see a lot of that last year. And part of that was because of the quarterback, part of that was the offensive line. And it was kind of a domino effect. I want to see whoever it is, JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, whoever. I just want to see a level of decisiveness when it comes to running the offense that we did not see the last couple of years.
I think that's been a part of their draft process, right? I think they've had to try to figure that out because I think whoever they draft, they know what weight that carries and what's going to be put on top of their shoulders from day one, right? The level of expectation, it might not be from the organization, but from the fans and from just former players in the locker rooms. Like, hey, like we drafted you with the 3rd overall draft pick. Like you're coming in here to be the guy. But, for the athlete, right? This whole confidence thing. I mean, listen, yes, does it come from supportive teammates? Does it come from being in a locker room that is behind you and backs you and has the confidence in you? 100%. It absolutely does. If you don't have a locker room that is there, that has your back and talks about, how well you're doing and they believe in you, then it's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But a large part of it comes from the athlete himself. I think that these kids all have been in this position because they're strong-willed, they're strong-minded kids, right? They obviously have the talent, they have the physical, the mental characteristics of a good football player. The NFL is a different beast. It's very different, man. Like it is a dogfight every single weekend. And mentally, it can beat you down. And it's very hard, man, especially for these kids that have been doing they went from college to graduating to training for the combine to the drafts. And then you're right, dude. These kids haven't gotten a day off probably in months, and
Yeah,
they're
it's a
not gonna
long
get one.
stretch.
It's
Yeah,
long, man.
yeah.
And like they talk about that rookie wall, and that's a real thing. It is. It's very hard to stay mentally focused. So I think the guy that we draft, it is so important for them just to this clear, like, hey, there's a process here, man. Like, yes, do people have high expectations of me? 1000%. And they wouldn't have drafted me. And I hope that they do have high expectations, but also, like, what are my expectations for myself? Like, how am I going to grow? How am I going to develop into this quarterback that I want to be? Right. They wouldn't be playing this game if they didn't want to be great. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of legacy am I going to leave? And I'm not going to let 1 year define me. Now, listen, this kid can go, whoever we draft can go out and have a phenomenal year and great, set the stage for the rest of your career because guess what? That expectation level is going to go through the roof, right? But now all of a sudden you are Tom Brady's successor and now you got to fill the shoes and how many rings are you going to win? But that's not where I see these kids. I see them as realistic expectations for themselves, making sure that they're really like, I know we talk about, this whole mental side of things so much now in the game and in athletics. It's so important, right? And being positive through this whole thing, through the ups and the downs. No one's expecting you to figure it out from day one. I don't expect them to figure it out from day one. And nor am I going to be just like, it's not going to make me upset if this kid is going out and throwing interceptions, but like, how is he responding to it? Right. It's
That's
okay,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You just got to keep growing.
yeah.
We'll see it. We see it. Right. We've been around the game long enough. I'll be able to see we talked about with Pops this year, right? Talked about a young kid who made mistakes. He was running, he was carrying the ball like a dang loaf of bread and he was losing the football. But guess what? He made the adjustments. He learned from it. And like we both saw it and we talked about it. And like that's important, right? And it's important for your teammates to see it and to talk about it, for yourself to see it. And that's all. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me and you sitting here talking about it. It's not about the fans. It's about you. It's about the team and the organization and what you are doing to make yourselves a successful football team and win games on Sunday. That's all that matters.
I think we're both in agreement, at least on the surface, as it stands right now. A week plus ahead of the draft, that we're going to see 3 quarterbacks taken,
Yep.
top 3, 1, 2, 3 for the first time. I think it's since 2021. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance. the top three quarterbacks taken that year. Not a great year and the former regime in New England as well, taken in the first round. So not a great Lawrence aside, not a great year for quarterbacks. But um, I think the only way we don't see that happen is if the Patriots take a right turn
Yeah.
in maybe throw a bit of a curveball. We found out yesterday that Michael Penix Jr. is in town for a visit. And look, on-site visits, you take them all with a grain of salt. You understand that it's your due diligence. But I just thought it was interesting that after I put that on social media, that I found out about it, that all of a sudden there was an idea that, okay, they trade down, they take Joe Alt or Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3, and then they hope that, hey, Penix is available in the late stages of the first round. We've talked about Penix before.
Yeah.
I think we're both on the record. Love it as intangibles. There's some questions about his health, but I guess it just goes to underscore the idea that if you're the Patriots, you got to nail this thing. You're in a
Yeah.
position right now, you got to nail it. First GM, first coach, first situation. Just in Penix, if you love him, then God bless you. That's the route forward.
Yeah. I mean, I- if that's the case and we get Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think anyone's going to be upset because now we've added, a weapon that I think that everyone thinks is the best, one of the better receivers to come out of a draft in a very long time. Um, but like this overlooming cloud in New England is always going to be who the quarterback is. And I mean, listen, hope is a strong word in the NFL draft for a kid, to hopefully turn out to be good.
What they say in Shawshank Redemption, hope is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it's dangerous, man. It's very, very dangerous. But listen, man, I mean, we could talk about it right now, right? It's the 24th anniversary of a guy that got drafted 199 overall, and all of a sudden he wins freaking 7 rings and, was going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks to play this game. Like he's out there, right? And this kid could be something in that realm but it's going to take time to grow. And I just don't think we're not going to see it in year 1, but I hope that whoever we draft, I hope that they just take the steps.
Mhm.
That's all that's about. It's all about growth. It's all about development. No one's expecting any of these kids to be the end all be all. Maybe Chicago is, because that's the world that they live in of drafting a quarterback and then just getting rid of people. But like, I don't expect it. I don't expect it for Caleb Williams. I don't expect it for whoever gets drafted, Drake or even Jake. Like, I just don't expect it. But I expect them to understand, like, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint right now. Yeah, it's going to be a sprint for you to learn the playbook and to know your teammates and to get acclimated with wherever you are. But the marathon is about your career, and your career is more important than year 1 of your first year in the NFL.
It's gonna be fun, regardless, man. It
Yeah.
is. It's gonna be a blast. And
Is
I
August here
have some more
yet?
draft questions that don't have to do with a quarterback. I put a call on social media again today for a couple of questions, and we got a couple of really good ones. First of all, this guy is a longtime listener who's a big fan of us. I've worked with him for a long, long time. Miguel, he's on Twitter as Pat's Cap. He's
Okay.
phenomenal. If people do not know him, I can't imagine Patriots fans who do not know him, but he knows more about the salary cap than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. And that's his cottage industry. And he just nails it on a regular basis. And he had
Love
2
it.
questions for us. First of
Okay.
all, what position do you see the Patriots extending their run of UDFAs when you look at the roster right now? Is there a specific position that you can point to and you could say, look, if you're an undrafted free agent, you got a shot if you come to New England to make it here. I know in years past it's been running back and
Yeah.
defensive back. But I was wondering if you had any thoughts where, again, you look at the roster and you say, there's an opportunity there for a guy who goes undrafted to come in here and make this team.
I mean, receiver right off the top of my head. I mean, if you go up and down our list right now. I mean, there's the amount of undrafted guys that could have gone early in the draft, but don't really have teams have other needs and can't take them, and all of a sudden it's 7th round and we haven't taken them. Like, I mean, this myself included. You never know. I think that there's a real opportunity for us to bring in somebody, in on the offensive side of the ball at receiver for someone to make this roster, like without a doubt. Do I think it's probably more of like a big bodied receiver, someone that can play on the outside, someone that's got big catch radius that can kind of go up and make the play? Yeah, I 100% do. Like, I think that we don't need another slot receiver. I believe in Pop. Like, I like this kid.
Mhm.
And I think we have some guys that can play in that position. I don't, we need some bigger targets on the outside. So do I think that that's an opportunity? 100%. Running back, always. I think running backs are like a diamonds in the rough, right? It's just there's so many of them out there. They all kind of do the same thing. They all it's like who can we find that the guy that like, oh yeah, this kid was phenomenal in college. He breaks a ton of tackles and like that. Yeah, great. Bring him in. Like he could probably make the roster. Um, yeah, defensively undrafted free agents. I never really have seen many guys kind of break that mold of making a roster right away. I kind
I
of
feel
think
like the
that
cornerbacks, they're more cornerbacks who are
there's
capable of
so
doing
many
it.
quarterbacks. I
Yeah.
mean, like, and you go in a training camp with like 20 cornerbacks, right? It's like you always need bodies there. You always need bodies on defense. I think that's a tough place, especially in New England. I think that we have a lot of guys. I think probably anywhere it's like interior defensive line that you could find some real dogs that really didn't get a fair enough chance, or we went to a pro day, we saw this kid, we liked him, and we can bring him in, and no one knew anything about him, and all of a sudden he's a just a disaster up front, and he just causes chaos. So I think that's something that we could look into. But I would say probably the best bet for an undrafted free agent on New England's roster is probably receiver or an interior D line.
Big body wide receiver
I need it.
or
I
an
need a
interior
big
guy.
guy out there, man. I need one.
Get about 6'4",
Yeah,
big
that's what I'm
catch
talking about.
radius. Yeah,
Some guy that we can just toss it up in the red zone that's going to go up, make these Gronk-esque like catches, contested catches. I don't need someone that's going to fly by people. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for um and not even like just a big, DK mech, someone that just is going to body people, be physical, like, and run hard after the catch, like not gonna get huge yak, but like this dude is just gonna be just a terror on the outside because he's just gonna be hard to guard. Like that's what I want to see.
All right, one more from Miguel, who asked, the Patriots have 8 draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think they are going to make all 8 picks, or do you think they are going to make fewer picks, trading some away, or you think they're going to make more picks? So basically, you think they're going to go over under at 8, or they're going to stick?
I would say probably I would take the under on that. Knowing given Elliott's his experience, I know it's Gerard's first draft. I would say that maybe we try to look to maybe add a player, with a trade, or add something into like a future draft, down the line, next year, the year after. I could see that happening. I could. I think there's a real sense of like, hey, like this, we're not looking to go win the Super Bowl this year. Yes, sure. Is that everyone's goal at the beginning of the year? 100%. But like, this is a building where we're in the process of building a team, a brand new team with a brand new coach that hasn't had a new person at the helm in freaking 20 something years. We are starting something brand new. Let's kind of do it the way that we want to do it. I think Elliott's going to have a important role in that whole process, just because he's been there, he's done it, he's been on draft night, he's done the picks. I think people are going to come to the phone and they're going to be calling. Um, do I think that we make trades from within? Who knows? But like, I think that's kind of like